Have you ever had a giant section of flat land? You want to develop it, but you have no idea where to start? You could build the repetitive megagrid, or you could try to force random curves. Either way, it ends up looking unnatural. That's because when you don't have the terrain to guide you, you have to create your own anchors. So today, I'm going to walk you through my exact step-by-step process for tackling huge flat areas. We'll start by laying down our main roads, then we'll build a shopping center. Afterwards, we'll build out the final residential grid, add in our city services, zone everything out, and finally, detail it to make it feel integrated. Let's jump in. I think there's a few important rules that we need to follow. The biggest one being is that we just can't overthink this. We have two massive areas right here, and not to say that I won't give it the same amount of love, it just doesn't need to be overthought. I tend to overthink even the smallest things. So with that in mind, I want to start building out a grid. And this is going to be pretty straightforward. Looking at some of our current connections, there's really this road over here, and then there's this road. And these two are going to serve as our foundation, and they're going to help set everything else up. Let's start by enabling the contour lines. And just by looking at this, there really isn't any reason to not continue this road all the way down. So when I'm building roads, I'm really looking for two things. Is there any contour lines we can follow? If not, then we'll try and keep it simple. And of course, we're going to curve the road in. That way it comes in at a 90, which means safe turns for trucks, cars, and everyone else. Another thing to keep in mind is that this highway will eventually be transitioned into an interstate. We're not quite there yet, but we will be soon. Even with that said, we still want to minimize how many connections we're making into the highway. That way we're not slowing traffic down on this road whatsoever. This is essentially going to be downtown, transitioned into low density. Now let's take another look at our contour lines. And what immediately jumps out to me is this spot by the hill, because what I really want to do is connect this road into this road. So let's start by flattening this section out right here. Now the next thing that we have to watch out for is the hill. That's because if you're driving down this road, you're not going to have the greatest visibility. In fact, it looks like we go up the hill unnecessarily. And just given that this is a really important road, I think we'd probably spend the money to flatten that out. So let's grab the 4-lane divided road and we'll just remake this connection. This time we'll have constant slope on. Now, like I was saying about the hill, we want to make sure that we're having good visibility, especially into our important roads. But the work that we've done here doesn't really make sense anymore, so let's just get that flattened out. And this time we're still going to use our 2-lane, but we'll follow alongside this contour first. And now we'll make our connection at a 90-degree angle. And then I just want to check, how is the visibility? So for the most part, the visibility seems fine. We are going to remove these lights though. And instead what we'll do is we'll set priority. So essentially any cars coming from this road will be a stop. These two will be a priority. Now down here, what I want to do is continue this road straight for just a little bit. And then we're going to curve into this road down here. And that's perfect because we get a grade of 1.6%. Now I'm pretty much going to immediately go back on one of the things that I said earlier. This road should have been more important, but it's way too close to our main arterial. So if we just continued it straight, these connections would be way too close. Not only that though, we'd have to pretty much blast through this hill, and given that the land down here would be very hard to develop, I just don't see that happening. We will keep this road here in case I get any brilliant ideas. Now for stage 2, what we're going to do is we're going to send this 2-lane road all the way down to connect into this section right here. And the reason why we're going to connect into this junction is because I really want to minimize the amount of intersections that we have, especially on important roads like our highways. To me, I would just call these a back road or a country road. They're not a main highway or an interstate. And that is pretty much perfect. Now I have the absolute memory of a goldfish, so immediately I'm just going to purchase these tiles. That way I don't forget. Now I'm going to remove all of these trees because I want to be able to see the land. Again, we'll click C to pull up the contour lines. And now I just want to check some of the elevation difference. So our top height up here is 540, and I'm looking at this backwards. Our top height is actually 547, and down here it's 540. This really isn't too dramatic, so I'm going to add in this 2-lane road, and then I want to remain about 6 units away from this contour line. And that's just because we want to make sure there's enough room to develop in this area. And of course we have a tornado. Where is it? Where's the tornado? No, come on. anything other than the custom industrial park. I'm gonna say let's just ignore that. Now our next big important thing is that we're gonna wanna connect this road into this one. And I wanna try and maintain this straight segment for as long as possible. And that right there is perfect. Now we gotta connect it into the other side. And now we can slowly start to see some semblance of a grid coming together. We're gonna need a road that connects these two sides in, but before we do that, I think it's important that we work on this side down here. But there really isn't anything that helps me decide how my grid is going to look. So for the meantime, I'm gonna grab a 4-lane divided road, and then somewhere in the middle, I just wanna pull this down at 90 degrees. Now when I look at this, there's really one big thing that I see, and that's a potential connection from Claiborne into Lafayette Street. I may have butchered that pronunciation. Now let's upgrade this to be a 4-lane as well. And this right here is pretty solid. We have 3 main roads that move traffic: Cedar Street, Birdsong Highway, and Green Highway. And then of course we have our 2 connectors, Rosewood and Pearl. And the beauty of Pearl Street is that it actually connects all the way down to our waterfront. Now with most of our main roads done, I want to take a break for a second, and that's because we're going to build a shopping center. Right now, the downtown has great access to mixed-use shopping, but there isn't a dedicated shopping center unless you come down to the Stadium District. We kind of have one here. Really what I want to do though is make a proper North American shopping district. And the first decision is figuring out where to place it. And this is important because the shopping center is going to serve a lot of people. So we don't want traffic making unnecessary movements. There's really only 2 candidates in my opinion. It's Pearl Street and Birdsong Highway. And that's just because these are through roads which go all the way down to our waterfront. Now we're going to build this shopping center on Birdsong Highway. And the only reason is because Pearl Street is currently serving our tram depot. So I'm going to use this custom 4-lane road. The only difference is that it's 2.4 units. We'll add this right in the middle and we'll go up 10 units. Now we're going to grab a roundabout, and I'm going to go with this one just purely based on aesthetics. Now I want to grab the suburban 2-lane road with no markings. I'm going to snap that right in the middle, and for now we're going to send that off 10 units. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We'll go out 10 units. Now I want to check to make sure that I added enough room for parking, and it seems like we do. Although ideally we have just a tiny bit of room for green space down here. I'm going to pull this all down by roughly 2 extra units. And that definitely provides us with way more room, so let's check the parking one more time. And now I want to get rid of the security booths, and I also want to get rid of the connection here. And the best way to do that is to grab any pavement surface and just replace it. Now we're going to use the vanilla asphalt decal, and we're going to place that over, and it's so close but so far. I think at the very least I could probably work with that. To help sell this, let's fix this surface. And then unfortunately, the surface is trying to stick to the road. So we're gonna grab our concrete surface and we're just gonna upgrade this one as well. I think what I'm tempted to do is get rid of all of the turning decals, because then we don't need these decals to cover over the markings. And I'm just gonna quickly fix this side as well. And then during detailing, I'll pull the concrete surface all the way through, and we'll make this the prettiest parking lot anyone has ever seen. Let's throw down an alleyway here, and an alleyway here. Now let's upgrade these alleyways to basically touch the parking lot, and hopefully that doesn't break anything. Now part of me kind of wishes that these were flipped around, and that's mostly just because the road access doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But the only problem with that is I wanted these diagonal corners to be facing the roundabout. Ideally what we do is place the building directly on top of the parking. But it's just not possible given the current state of City Skylines 2. And after thinking it over, I'm going to upgrade these to be alleyways. And that's really just because it's taking up way too much space. Now I want this roundabout to essentially be the center. So we're going to take an alleyway and wrap this around. Let's quickly add in the grass texture. And then while we're here, we might as well add in just a few trees. Now I'm going to add in a few alleyways because zoning on this circle is going to be difficult. To help this make just slightly more sense, we'll upgrade this to be a one-way, and same thing on this one. And this is kind of ironic because I spent so much time talking about how important the traffic flow is and minimizing junctions, only to turn around and do this monstrosity. But I really want this curved center, and I also want this to be easy to develop at the same time. So let's stop here for a second and finally add in some of our first buildings. Now I want to get started with target, and we're going to place that in right there. But let's pull this way closer. And now we need to provide road access to the back. So let's just plow a road right through here. Next up, we're going to get the H-E-B supermarket in. And I want to place this in a way where that H-E-B logo faces the highway. To get this all aligned, let's snap onto this road. And we're just going to pull this alleyway all the way out. And then we'll send it up and down. And it looks like we need about 3 or 4 more units of space. And we'll just place it in right there. And now we need parking for this building. It's a massive supermarket. I would expect a whole bunch of parking. Before that, let's get our alleyways connected in. Something like that should do the trick. It's not very pretty, but it'll work. And we just ever so slightly don't have enough room. So I'm going to quickly rework this. And now I could flip these parking lots around to face the building, but I actually want to de-incentivize that. And the only reason is because this is a fairly pedestrian-friendly parking lot, or at least as friendly as they come. So if I can prevent cars from driving down this road, I might as well do it. The only thing that we have to get rid of are the security gates and these white lines over here. Now behind our target, we're going to add in another store, but I want to flatten this terrain out first because it's just going to make everything so much easier. And the store I want to go with is Home Depot. So first, let's extend the alleyway. And now we're just going to slap Home Depot right here. And that immediately throws us with some issues. Let's try and solve them. And I think on this side, we're just slightly too close to the target. So let's pull it over a bit. And I'm wondering if running a one-way alley would help. And that seems to have fixed all of our issues. So let's just make sure that our one-way alleys are nice and snug with the building. And that is looking pretty much perfect. All we're missing is an insane amount of parking. And now that's probably a bit too fancy for Home Depot, but if I can avoid using those parking lot roads, then I definitely will. I really want a section of these Barnes & Noble buildings. Ideally, they're fronting this road. And similar to the last video, I need you to suspend your disbelief. I promise you, these are not all the same company. We need a bit more room to develop, so we'll snap onto the side of this parking lot and then just send that in. We have some space here, and ideally we're going to find a pretty good building to place. A Blockbuster. Now this company has went bankrupt a long time ago, but that doesn't mean we can't use the asset and pretend it's something else. Let's stretch down this surface a bit. And now we only have a few spaces left for some assets, and we're also starting to run out of choices. So I'm going to place the pharmacy right here. We'll pull it back just a tiny bit. I'm going to replace this surface because I really don't like it. Same thing with this one. Honestly, I really see this being parking. This is going to serve the Barnes & Noble. For these buildings, we do need to provide access to the back, although it doesn't actually look like there is any access in the back. So then my question becomes, how are the trucks getting all of the goods to these stores? Because surely they're not delivering it through the front. So I'm going to use a bit of my imagination here and say that they are indeed delivering it to the back. Now for this spot right here, it's going to be hard to find any buildings that fit in. So I do have a different idea. We're going to reuse the Blockbuster building, and we're going to try and get it in a way where it seems like they're the same building. Now let's get rid of these trees, and we'll make sure the separation is right. That's definitely not as much room as I would have liked to have right here. And it does look a little bit crazy, but I don't think it's too bad. Now you're probably thinking, wow, he's reusing assets again, but I might have a solution, and I want to test it out. So let's start with the sign because that's going to be the easiest one. And what I'm hoping is that we can just use some of these signs, and as long as you don't look too close, you won't be able to tell. Yeah, I don't know about this one. And I think that solution might just be zoning a bunch of car-centric commercial on this road. And then I just want to move everything, and hopefully we can get everything to fit. And we had to replace the McDonald's with a gas station, but I actually think that comes out looking very nice. There is only one more thing that we have to do in order to get this shopping center functioning. Actually, make that 2 things. The first thing is that we only have one road into this area. If there was a fire, a car accident, or literally any disaster, this entire plaza would become a nightmare. And I hope this doesn't come back to bite me, but we're going to give 2 access roads. And this would allow any emergency services to filter in, or allow people to filter out when necessary. Now the second thing was going to be the utilities, but adding in those access roads helped with that. So let's quickly just add a district around this area. For now, I'm going to call this SC. If you have a better name for this shopping center, please suggest it in the comments below. Now I'm going to quickly go and assign every single service from the Bayfront Civic Center to our new shopping center. Now I'm going to pose one of the most philosophical questions to ever be asked. What would a shopping center be without a whole bunch of suburban sprawl? And that's exactly what we're missing. But there's 2 things we need to do first. To start off with, let's grab a 4-lane road, and we're going to upgrade this all the way down to the end. And it doesn't seem like the grass applied for some reason, so let's try this one more time. Now there's only one more thing, and that is a whole bunch of car-centric uses right across from our mall. And because I think this is awful, we are going to run a path right through the center, and that's only slightly less awful. One of the problems that I have when I start placing down too much of any zoning on one road is that it just starts to feel a little bit awkward. Even though I know this could be perfectly realistic in real life, what I want to do is grab somewhere in the middle and break this up a little bit. I wanted to get the commercial alongside this road before I moved on to low density residential, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So while we wait for our commercial demand to come back, let's get started on some suburban sprawl. And really, we have 9 areas of land to work with. I'm going to walk you through how I do one, and then I'll quickly speed through the rest. So let's start with this big one right here. And now what I'm really looking for are these zoning tiles, because I will use them to help define the grid. Let's go up 10 units, and then I want to measure to see how big this is. So that gives us 4 on each side, which is pretty much perfect. Now that we have this, we'll swap over here, and again we're going to find that zoning tile. We'll go up 10 units, and then I want to find this spot right here and go up 10 units. We'll connect these 2 in, and now we're going to curve our road into this one. And really what this gives us is the start of a naturally flowing grid, which doesn't feel too box-like or rectangular. Now back on this side, we're going to go up 10 units again. We'll pull that all the way down. And once we see these zoning tiles start to curve, that's when I'll break the grid. And then on this side, we'll go up 10 units. Again, we're going to pull it all the way down. And because we can make this connection right here, we might as well. And then we'll just curve this road into that one. Now based on what we have here, it seems like these 2 roads are going to end up meeting. If we're going to let them meet up, then we have to do something to make sure that these curves aren't too insane, because even the game thinks that there shouldn't be a right turn here. Personally, I never usually let these roads meet up. Usually I just start to cut them off. And the way I figure out which road I'm going to cut off is just by pulling each of these down one more time. And I think this road is going to be perfect, so we'll leave that there. And we actually might as well just continue that road all the way through. And now I don't want to get trapped making the same style of grid, because I can pull this all the way down to here, but it's not going to end up looking as nice as it should. So we need a transitionary point, and we actually have a few of them. We have the grid on this road, and we have the grid on this road. When I'm looking at the curve on this road, I actually really like it because it's going to allow us to connect into this road in a somewhat unique way. So I'm going to roughly try and find the middle point. We'll send it up 10 units, and so I don't lose my measurement point, I'll pull this off to the side and this off to the side. And now I want to connect this point into this point. Now I'm going to trim this road off, and because I don't want to make too many connections into this road, what I'm thinking we'll do is we'll just curve these roads in, and then add in 2 cul-de-sacs. And that's not perfect, but for right now it'll do. Now I'm going to swap it up by coming down to this section. Again, we're going to pull down 10 units, doesn't really matter where. I can see that the grid breaks right here, so this is when I'll connect it back in. Then we'll pull it down 10 more units one more time. And now I have my ideal connection for this road. So I'm going to extend that so I have a marker. And now we're just going to use a complex curve. Ideally, the curve matches this road, but it's never like that in real life, so it doesn't really matter. And honestly, if we wanted to maximize our development, we could add another cul-de-sac here. I think I'll definitely rework this, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. But because we have this grid in, I can already see the next connection point, and that's perfect. Now I'm going to continue this grid all the way down. And this is going to help us find more points to connect into, which means we can now grab this road and just do a gentle curve. And because we have this giant space in the middle, I think it's actually going to work really well as a school. Let's just add in one more connection. And we need one more down here as well. And then to solve this cul-de-sac issue, I'm just going to get rid of this one, and we'll extend this one further down. And that's going to give us enough room for development on both sides of these cul-de-sacs and for the houses that'll front this road. And in my opinion, this is a really nice suburban grid. It has decent connectivity, but it's not overly connected. It's definitely not like our downtown, where pretty much every road connects in. There is one area that worries me though, and that's alongside Pearl Street. In-game, this is just a really big space, and like I was mentioning with the commercial, things tend to look weird when you have really big spaces. It's usually hard to tell until you actually have your zoning in, but if I ever start to think it looks a little too weird, I'll break it up with a path, and then maybe add in a park on each side. With this one example done, I'm going to quickly get the rest of the areas gridded out. And until I do zoning, that's pretty much it. The zoning part is important because then I can see how buildings will fit together once they're actually on the road. And I'll also be able to see where we won't be able to fit enough zoning in, so we'll need to rework it. Now I want to check to see how our commercial demand is doing. And yeah, we just still have a negative modifier for local demand. And it seems like we just have an overproduction in standard and leisure, which is very unfortunate because there's not really too much we can do about that. I'm not going to try and worry about it too much because once we get a bunch of residential in, we should be in a good place. Now let's get that school added in. Our Southwestern Elementary should serve us well. For now, I'm going to place that directly in the middle, and then I immediately want to go check to see what our sports parks are. So we have a soccer field and a football field. Now I'd love to get both of these assets placed in within the same footprint of the building. So what I'm going to do to make this work is I'm going to grab a one-way alley, and I just want to wrap it around the building. And then we'll take our football field and we're going to place that right in the middle. And actually, I've lost the plot a bit. This is an elementary school, and I feel like this football stadium is a bit more appropriate for a high school. So instead, let's add the soccer field. And I don't really see too many elementary kids playing tennis, but let's add one in. And let's also add in a few basketball courts. It's not very ideal that they'd have to cross this road in order to get to the basketball court, mostly just because I never really see elementary schools where you need to cross the street in order to get to any of the facilities. Usually you just walk across the field. But I'm going to put that aside for now, and we're going to throw some decals down because I can't stand the look of these basketball courts. And unfortunately, all of the homeless people who are apparently sleeping in the elementary school's basketball courts. And now I just want to replace all of these surfaces with some basic grass, because I really don't think we need that much pavement. Plus, I feel like it looks a little bit more school-friendly with the courts like this. And now for our tennis court, we're going to do something similar. I just want to get rid of that crazy orange color and instead replace it with something a bit more tame. And again, let's get rid of these prison fences. And this probably isn't any better, but let's go with the residential fence. And I can't seem to position these well enough to get rid of that orange line in the middle, so I'll just leave it. I'll consider it to be a divider. There's only one more thing that we need to do, and that's add this surface back. And there we go. For now, that's going to be our elementary school. Now we should probably make a district for this. That way we don't have elementary kids from all the way down here coming to this area. And now we have two new districts, King's Corner and Willow End. As always, if you have a better name, please suggest it in the comments. And this is exactly why. We somehow have 992 students, but no one even lives in this area. So we're going to set this to operate in both of these districts. And now let's grab our UK secondary school, and we're going to place that right across from our shopping center, mostly just because this is the only area that had enough room. Let's quickly set this to all three districts. We do have two upgrades, but we'll worry about them if we ever need the capacity. For now, I'm going to get rid of this road. And now let's grab that football field. We're going to position it towards the highway, somewhere in the middle. And let's wrap an alleyway around it. And of course, let's add on everyone's favorite thing, parking. And for once, I don't think we should use these modern parking lots. Instead, let's just use the perpendicular parking alley. We'll use the parallel road tool, and we'll just get that pulled down. And we'll use our alleyway to cap this off. And then we have a tiny bit of jank. So let's set all of this to be the same height as the football field. And that almost worked. Let's just clean this jank up with a few trees. And you won't even ever know. And I do have a few more things that I want to do for the high school, but this is where I'm going to leave it until detailing because we still have a whole bunch more to do. Let's add in the Southwestern Medical Clinic, and we're going to do that right beside our elementary school. And that's just because it fits so perfectly within this block. Before I forget, let's set it to operate in these districts only. And now we also need a solution for our fire. And I think one of the best areas to place this in is going to be near our trams, near our water treatment, and our crematorium. I'm going to get that placed in right about there. Using an alleyway, I'm going to snap directly into the middle of this road. We'll go up 4 units, go all the way over, and then connect back in. And now I want to position that in the middle. And then to make sure that our fire trucks would have the absolute best access, let's pull this concrete surface all the way down. And now let's actually make it function by adding in an invisible one-way car path. This side will be in, and this side will be out. In a perfect world, this would be fire only, but City Skylines 2 is not a perfect world, and they won't listen no matter what. Again, we're going to set this to only operate in these 3 districts. Now we need some police coverage, and I'm going to make this one a little bit more basic, and that's mostly just because we have our police headquarters right here. We're not even using all of our vehicles, and we have 0 arrested criminals, which means we could easily service both of these areas. Actually, we have a small local police station right here too. We're going to keep putting stress on this crematorium until it collapses. We'll assign it to both districts. But what we'll do is we'll extend this road. And now the crematorium just has slightly better access to this area. Why spend money on more crematoriums if we don't have to yet? For waste management, we're just going to grab our landfill, assign it to both districts, and we're going to do the exact same thing with our recycling center. Let's quickly check our internet and telecom, and we are just doing perfect. All of our services are looking really good. As long as I'm not forgetting anything, the only thing that we're missing is post. So let's get that solved with 2 small post offices. We'll place one right beside our medical clinic. And then on this side, let's place one right near our main road. We'll also give both of them the extra mail storage upgrade. And now I'm going to quickly go in and place some mailboxes. And I keep seeing a few issues like this, which is why using anarchy isn't always the greatest thing. We should be able to fix it just by redrawing it back in, and interestingly enough, no. And I finally see it. There is a tiny little cul-de-sac right there that I accidentally placed. Let's get that deleted, and now we should be able to run our road through without any problems. Now that we've built out our grid, added in the shopping center, set up all of our services, we are finally ready to do some zoning. This is all just going to be residential. There'll be a few sections that we leave open for some commercial, plus a few extra areas for parks. But I say, let's just quickly get to zoning. Alright, and there we go. That only took 1 hour to plop every single residential building manually. I can be a bit crazy sometimes, but I have a philosophy where I'd rather spend the extra time doing something and like the outcome, rather than spend a little bit of time and not like it. Now the interesting thing is that we clearly have some noise pollution. Alright, so where is the noise pollution coming from? Place your bets right now. My initial guess would be that it's just coming from Pearl Street, there's lots of traffic. But when we open up our menu, it seems like it's White Castle. I can't say for certain, so let's just move this asset over. Actually, let's move this really far away. Does that help? To me, it seemed like it was White Castle because it was clearly originating from right here. And to be honest, I've never really had this issue before. I'm gonna leave it there for now, and I'll see what I can do later on. Looking back at our commercial demand, we still have a negative modifier, Interestingly, we do have a high unemployment rate, so let's try and solve this. First, let's take a look to see what it is. Wow, 18.7%, that's kind of crazy. And surprise, surprise, most of it is concentrated within our poorly educated and our uneducated, and those really are the hardest people to get jobs for. Because even this Barnes & Noble, it only has 10 poorly educated positions. The rest are educated and well-educated, which means the only other solution would be to improve the elementary access across the entire county. I don't want to handle that in today's episode, so let's focus on what we can control. We do have quite a bit of educated, well-educated, and highly educated people unemployed, so let's make a small little office park. And I feel like the best place for that office park is going to be up here. It's right near our government district. It'll have good access to transit, which we haven't built out yet, but don't worry, we'll do that next episode. It'll be close to the shopping center, and it'll be close to a bunch of workers. So let's start by clearing the trees. And now let's take a look at the contours, because I'm sure we don't have that much room to work with. The top height is 567, and the bottom height is 549. I'm gonna go with my gut feeling here. We're not gonna clear this for an office park, so instead of working through it, we'll work around it. So let's start by grabbing some office buildings first, and I only want the ones that don't come with parking. So let's get 2 of these placed in. We're also gonna need 2 of these, and for now, this is where I'm gonna stop. Let's pull these all the way back here. Let's move these right in the middle, and we'll just flip these around. We're gonna do a little bit of work here with the terrain, and that's because if you don't do that, the parking is gonna look awful. And of course, parking is everything. I'm gonna snap 2 parking lots right here. We'll get them flipped around and positioned correctly. And we're gonna set both of them to be the same height as this building. And hopefully that gets rid of some of the jank. We're gonna snap an alleyway to the side of this building and connect directly into that road. And apparently we're gonna look at the water as well. Now where you can enter the parking lot, we're gonna send this road down. We're gonna do the same thing on this side, but this time we're gonna connect into these buildings. And now let's take this alleyway and connect it into this junction. And then I just wanna move these buildings a bit to get them into a better place. And I'm not entirely sold on these buildings. I feel like they gotta go. In the middle, let's just have a nice little path. And this is where you could go if you're on break, or maybe you're meeting with a customer or a client who likes to sit in nature. And there we go. There's a small little office park. And let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, I was on stream, and we were playing GeoGuessr. And I said some of the most dangerous things that anyone could ever say. Well, actually, first it started with me getting cocky. And that's kind of funny given how bad I am at GeoGuessr. But I said, if you can beat me, then I'll give you anything you want. Erdgeist made me play the absolute worst city builder ever. And the person who won the second round wanted an office park with a very specific name. And that's why from here on out, this will be known as the Thaddeus Office Park. Now, the big thing that I care about is how many jobs is this producing? Only 136. That is just awful. I really would have expected this to produce way more jobs. I'm going to quickly assign all the services. I want to get sidetracked for a second. We're going to rename the UK Secondary School. And from here on out, it's going to be known as the Michael Mills High School. And this is going to be called the Evan Aird Elementary. And that's just mostly because a big portion of these 2 schools was donated, and they were donated via Patreon and YouTube members. This football field was donated by Jake Hill, and I don't know what you call a football field, so I'm just going to call it the Jake Hill Field. This soccer field was donated by Gary Key. There's a few more important things that we need, and one of those is a church. So we're going to place this North American medium church right near our commercial. We're going to call this the Middleveen Church, and this was donated by Middleveen. Now every good church needs some parking, and the beauty of this is that it can double up as community parking. And then I just went through, quickly renamed some of the streets for the Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you for supporting the channel, it really does mean a lot. Now before we wrap up, we do need a few things. Those primarily being parks. I have a feeling if we check our overview, we should actually be good for parks. And yeah, we definitely are. But that's mostly just because we're having a big bonus from the school's parks. That's not good enough. I want to go through and place down a few playgrounds. Before that though, let's actually go with the Linden Park right here, because I just think this looks so good. This is such a beautiful park. To help this feel cohesive, I'm just going to wrap this path around. We'll snap directly in the middle and pull that down. And now let's grab a large playground, and we're going to place that off to the side kind of like that. Right in the middle, we'll throw a couple benches down, and I'm just going to delete the surface because I feel like the benches look better. Wait, there are no benches. I've been scammed. There we go, now there's benches. I think that's just a little bit better. There doesn't always need to be a surface everywhere. Sometimes it's fine to just have some benches where you can sit down and watch the traffic. Let's add in another large playground right there. Right near our elementary school, we'll add in a playground. Let's actually use the Linden Park one more time. Now we still need one more playground, and that's going to be up here. There's definitely a bit more that I want to do in this area, but I think for right now this is a good time to stop and start detailing. And for detailing, I really just want to make this feel complete, so let's just jump in. And that was just way too easy. I cannot emphasize how much I love the new tree prop placement. It is just so much easier. I did all of these areas by hand, and I had to use the line tool and individually go in between each house. So this is just a massive improvement. Now I've left this area blank, and same with this area, and that's because very soon we're going to make direct connections into our grid. There's just a little bit of expansion that needs to happen first. Now with all of that done, let's jump into a quick before and after. And that's a wrap. I really hope you enjoyed. Today's shoutouts go to Jake Hill, Gary Key, Deku, Middleveen, Freya Stark, Michael Mills, and Evan Aird, and everyone else supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot. If you want sneak peeks, save file access, or exclusive roles on Discord, you can join us over on Patreon or YouTube. If you haven't already, a like, comment, and subscription really go a long way. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.